Hi, I'm Karen Montgomery, and today we're going to talk about the new Scrap Crazy 6-inch template set. You may already be familiar with the original 8-inch template set that had 3 templates that worked together to make an 8-inch Crazy Patch style block. The new set is a 6-inch set, and you have 4 templates, and they work together to make a 6-inch finished block. The templates in both sets are entirely unique, and they're all designed to help you use up your scrap fabrics. What we're going to do is we're going to cut out the first 4 pieces so we can make a basic block. I'm going to use my templates and cut out the fabrics, and I want the fabrics to be face up or pretty side up when we make the block. So I'm going to turn all of my pieces face up, and I'm going to cut 1 piece for each template in the block. Now before I sewed it together, the first thing that I'm going to check is the A template. The A template is actually an equilateral triangle, so that means it's the same on all 3 sides. And chances are when you cut that out, one of these sides is on the straight of grain, so I want to turn that fabric so that the straight of grain side is on the outside edge of my block. And then I'm going to stitch my A and B piece together. And because on the template set you've already pre-trimmed your dog ears, these pieces are going to fit right back together again. So we're going to line that up like that, stitch from here to here, and then the C and the D piece can be stitched together like this. Once those 2 pieces are done, you can press your seam, and it doesn't matter what direction you press your seam because nothing's ever going to meet. So we're ready to do our 3rd and final seam. 4 pieces, 3 seams, and your block is done. So when I line this up like this, I can stitch from here to here. When I open this up, my block will be complete. Now my completed block is going to look like this, and I can join it together with a series of other blocks so that I can make anything from a table runner up to a full-size quilt. This piece that's right here is, we call it semi-formal, and the quilt itself was done with 25 6-inch blocks. The blocks are put together from scrap fabric in random order, and then once they were assembled, we went back and used our sewing machine and a decorative stitch and embroidery thread to embellish some of the seams. And then the quilt was layered and quilted together. Now, if you'd like to embellish yours to make it an even more crazy patch, you can add bits of lace or ribbons and trims as you're assembling your blocks together. But embellishments like beads or buttons or hard embellishments should be added after you're finished with your quilt. Now, that's the way that we're going to assemble a basic block. However, like the guy on TV says, there's much, much more. This piece was done with the same basic block, so we have our same basic 6-inch block, but we've taken the B template. So each one of the B templates were cut from the same yellow fabric. Everything else is cut from a random set of scraps. And this piece was put together, and it's called sparklers. And the pattern for this is a cut-loose press pattern. And you should be able to find this at your independent quilt shop. And if you don't find it, you can always ask for it. So this is the exact same set of templates, and we've made it into the sparkler piece. You can go ahead and embellish any of the pieces that you'd like. So you can take, like, this is a set of blocks that I put together that are scrappy green pieces. And we've replaced the A template, that's the triangle piece, with the Christmas print in here, this stripe. So if I arrange these like this, I can get a block that looks like a peppermint twist. So you can embellish the blocks by any way, just by featuring a different fabric in a different space. Wouldn't a group of 3 or 4 of these make a great Christmas table runner? Now, you can also take the D templates and the C template, the larger piece, and you can feature those in your blocks. But it's kind of fun to feature those all by themselves, because you can use the template as a set, but you can also use them individually. If I take the C template, and this is just a strip of fabric, and I want to cut the C template from this strip, I can line it up like this, and it's a 4.5-inch strip. But before I would cut it out for a basic block, I would want to take my scissors and trim this fold, and then turn the fabric so that it was both pieces were face up, so that I was cutting identical pieces. If I leave it folded like this, what I'm going to get is mirror image pieces. So the pieces are going to be opposite of each other. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if I take the mirror image pieces, you can see we have left and right pieces here. And if you look at the template shape, you can see that it's actually 1/4 of a hexagon. So by cutting 2 lefts and 2 rights, I can arrange them like this and make a hexagon shape. Now when I sew them together, I don't want to sew them together in a hexagon. I want to sew them together as a rectangle. So I'll take 2 pieces like this, make my arrangement, and sew them together. And remember, we've already pre-trimmed our dog ears, so when you go to sew that angle seam, it's not a problem. Now, in order to make the hexagon quilt, what I've done is I've laid out the quilt itself so that the pieces, I've made my design, and I have this big giant yellow flower on here. I've sewn them together in rectangles, and then sewn my rectangles into rows, and then my rows into the finished quilt. So you can get these nice large flower designs. When you look at your template set, you'll realize that the C template and the D template are identical, they're just a different size. So any hexagon quilt you can make with the D template, you can also make with the C template, and vice versa. The unique piece about the D template is that it's smaller, measures 2.5 inches from top to bottom, and you know what that means. That means we can cut it from a jelly roll. So this is the hexagon quilt that we made using the smaller D template, put together in the exact same way. You have the 2 pieces that are put together as a rectangle, and we've just grouped the colors together to form the hexagon. If you work with a jelly roll and you want to duplicate this quilt, you want to select a jelly roll that has at least 5 different colors in it so that you can separate them into different areas. The templates can be used independently or together, and they can also make unique star quilts like the one that's shown behind me. In order to make that piece, what we've done is, once again, we're going to work with a mirror image piece. So I've taken my strip of fabric that I will cut my B template from, and I'm leaving it folded the way it comes off the bolt so that it's wrong sides together. That way, every time I cut a template, I get a right and a left facing piece. So I'll have those 2 pieces, and then we're also going to need an A template, and as I said before, we're going to take the straight of grain piece and put it along the outside edge. So these pieces will go on either side like that, and then we need to fill this triangle. And if you look closely at your A template, you'll see that there's one black line. That black line is for cutting what we call piece E, and that's the triangle that fits in here. And that triangle is also 2.5 inches, so you can cut it from a strip. Take my strip of fabric, place the black line on the bottom, and cut out my triangle. Now, we want to put this in here, and we want the straight of grain on the bottom, but on this piece it's easy because the straight of grain is always directly across from the blunt tip. So we're going to put that piece in there. Now we're going to sew the pieces together. We sew them, stitch them together the same way. Put this one on here, put this one on here, like that. You'll end up with a unit that looks like this. At which point you're probably going to do the same thing that I did. You'll look at it and say, uh-oh, that can't possibly work. We need this to go together. But actually, because we've already trimmed your dog ears and you line it up exactly like this, line up that corner like that, stitch from here to here, and when you open it up, you'll have this unit exactly like that. So now this piece that's here can be set with 6-inch squares and a 5-inch cut square in the center so that you can make very large 17-inch square pieces like this. So you can see how you make interesting points like the quilt we have behind us. So you could do this. These 6-inch squares can be solid cut fabric, or you can actually piece, like we've done here, a crazy patch block to go inside there. And it'll help you use up your scraps. Now you can also use your template pieces to do lots of other things. The D piece was used to do the decorative border on this quilt right here. Just the A piece was used to do the quilt that we have featured over here. And this was also done with the A piece with a split, so you sew your pieces together before you cut them out. The templates themselves have a white grid that's printed on there, and that's what I used, the grid lines, in order to do this piece. It has the D piece cut out, but I pre-pieced these pieces together. If you're looking for more creative ideas on how to use your template set, you can look for Cut Loose Press patterns or the Scrap Crazy 6 playbook, which has 7 quilts in it that use the 6-inch template set. Well, I hope you enjoy using your templates.